Too close. Too close. Welcome back to House Parties. We are in month 2 of doing these things. I look around as if I'm there. I'm obviously in the worship center. I'm not there. I think my goal is to do a video in every single room of the church, and then I'll move on to my house, and then I'll move on to, I don't know, maybe your house? I don't know. I'm just thinking it through. Processing. It's February, okay? That means Valentine's, candy, rom-coms, flowers, weird pictures of fat babies shooting people with arrows. Kind of creeps me out to this day. It means love. And love is a huge part of our lives. Just as human beings, it's a huge part of our lives. And I don't just mean romantic love. I mean friendships, love in family, love in a dating relationship, love in my life, in marriage, love for my children, all that kind of stuff. Love is a huge part of being a human being. So we want to talk about it. But love's definition has gotten kind of vague. Like everybody has different definitions for love. One person's definition is tolerance, one person's definition is support, one person's definition is emotion. But we want to talk about not a fake love, but the real thing. Because our world, our culture, social media, all that stuff has really jacked up the definition of love, the purpose of love. It's twisted it to be something it's not really. And we've gotten really familiar with this fake love, this thing that's simply a feeling, this thing that is selfish, thing that is short term and not lasting. This kind of fake love that our culture gives, it overpromises and it underdelivers. It leaves us broken and hurt and lonely and just longing for something real. Real love is the opposite. It's action, it's selfless, it's long lasting. Instead of overpromising and underdelivers, it actually delivers on what it promises. It actually gives us life. We can only know real love if we know the creator of the universe, God himself. 1 John puts it this way: Dear friends, let us love one another because love is from God. And everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. The one who does not love does not know God, because God is love. So John puts it this way: we don't just know love because of God. We don't just have love because of God. God is love. He's not just the creator or the designer of it. He is the very source of it. A real love that satisfies, love that gives life instead of taking it away. So when we think about love and how God designed it all, that means all of this, all of it came from the mind of God. It's all from him. Love, marriage, sexuality, romance, friendship, relationships, love, all of that is from the mind of God. And when you're the one who designed it and made it, who came up with it, who is the source of it, you generally know how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to run, how it's supposed to function. He created it for us. He designed it for us, with us in mind. Sometimes we think of God as like our really mean math teacher who just wants to keep us from enjoying anything in life, which is why they give us 40 problems at night to like fill our entire evening so we can't do anything else. But that's not God at all. God designed these things with us in mind, for us. He wants to provide us with a full life. And he can do that through his design of love. So we want to look at God's word. We want to look at the Bible and see the way that God designed and intended love to happen in relationships. We want to see, man, instead of asking all these side questions, what am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? Who should I date? Who should I not date? We want to ask, man, what did God make this for? So we're going to kick off today by looking at a pretty basic level of relationships with love, but it's still super important. One place we see love in our lives all the time is in our friendships. And you may roll your eyes and be like, ooh, love in my friendship. We're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about a real love. It goes way beyond that. Friendships have kind of changed over the years too, just like the definition of love. Social media has kind of done that for us, right? Instead of friends, we begin to have followers, people who just kind of sit on the sidelines of our lives and watch what we post, watch what we do, and then they just like kind of clap from the sidelines as they like your picture, or they shoot you a comment with the fire emoji, you know what I mean, when you post a selfie. But like when we look at it, That's the fake love. Like that's a fake love. That's a fake friendship. That's not a real thing. The reality is all of us, our world is crying out for a real friendship. For a friendship that has this kind of real love in it, instead of just followers or people who just kind of pop into our lives and pop out. We're crying for genuine relationship and more followers on Instagram, more followers on TikTok. That's just not going to give us what we think it's going to give us. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, it was written in Hebrew, and the word in Hebrew for friend actually can be broken down to mean one who loves. Right off the bat, we see friendship is about love, real friendship, deep friendship, your genuine BFF. Okay, I don't think I should say that word, but you know what I mean. If we look at the Bible and friends and friendship, there's kind of like 3 levels to friendship. So we want to talk about those real quick. Level 1, the shallow friendship. That one's based on just common ground. Okay, you guys, the 2 of us, we have something in common. You like basketball, I like basketball. We've got math class together. We're on the same sports team. We go to practice together. We work at the same place. We have this common ground. You like the same video games I like. This common ground is what brings us friendship. But that's really all it is. Kind of as deep as it goes. Once you get outside that common ground, y'all don't hang out. Y'all don't talk. Outside of math class, who cares? Let's be real. We've all had like a work BFF or like a math class BFF. And as soon as you're in class, you guys are vibing, you're chilling. It's a good time. As soon as you leave, you like forget they exist. But that's not a real friendship. So we got to move 1 tier down. The next level of a deeper friendship isn't just something in common. You still have common ground, but you also begin to build trust. There's something in common and you have a trust with one another. You know, you won't sell each other out. You actually trust telling them things about your life because you trust that they'll listen and they'll actually understand. But there's real deep friendships that even move beyond that. They move to the 3rd level, which is like, you not only have something in common, you not only trust each other, but then there becomes this actual love. And again, I don't mean romantic love. It's not like you're falling in love with your best friend. Maybe sometimes that happens. But I just mean to say you care about them deeply. When we look at the definition of real love, we talked about how it's action. That means you actually are taking action to show them you care about them. It means it's selfless. You're not just in the relationship. You're not just friends with them to get something for yourself. You genuinely care about them. You put them first. And then lastly, it's long lasting, meaning your friendship isn't flippant. It's not like one fight and you're done, man. You will push through. It's long lasting. That's what real friendship has. All 3 of those. In the Bible, we see a really, really cool example of this kind of real, deep, genuine friendship. It's in the Old Testament in the book of Samuel, and it's actually between a guy named David and a guy named Jonathan. They had a real, genuine friendship. In case you don't know the story of Jonathan and David, here, let me lay it out for you. Way back in the day in the Old Testament, there's a country called Israel, a nation called Israel, and God made this guy Saul the king. And Saul is the king of Israel. He's ruling. Saul has a son. That's Jonathan. That's this, aka Prince Jonathan. One day, Saul's reigning. He's ruling, doing an absolute terrible job. So God decides, hey man, you have royally screwed this up. I'm going to pick someone new to be king. And over here we have David. He's just a shepherd in the middle of nowhere. He thinks nobody knows anything about him. He's just in the fields looking after sheep, fighting lions and bears. We can talk about that later. Crazy. But then God decides, hey, David is the next king of Israel. So you see the dynamic here. It's kind of awkward. You have Saul, who's the current king, doing a terrible job, who God is kicking out. He had a son, Jonathan, who should become king. Instead, he picks David, and David and Jonathan begin this friendship, and they go through life together, and they love each other, like care deeply. They're best friends, despite this situation. They had plenty of things in common, right? They were both warriors. They both, actually, at one point, they lived in Saul's house, so that was kind of crazy. So they were basically brothers in the same house. They had a deep trust in their relationship. I mean, at one point, Jonathan, instead of fighting David or hating David or trying to be king over David, looked at David and said, hey man, this is what God wants. I'm going to make a covenant, aka I'm going to make a promise. I'm going to make a contract with you that, man, I will support you. I am here for you. You are the king that God chose, not me, and I'm all for it. Kind of crazy. And they had a real love. In 1 Samuel 18, it actually says Jonathan loved David like himself, as much as himself. I mean, Jonathan clearly put David before himself. He gave up the literal crown. He gave up being king for David because he cared about his friend. That's a friendship. Like, holy smokes. That friendship has all those levels, but that has real, genuine love. That's not fake love. This is a real, like, best friend situation. Like, best friends. And naturally, obviously, we're not going to have this with every single person we meet. Every single person we would call a friend isn't going to be this kind of real deep friendship. But in our lives, we are designed for that kind of relationship by the designer and creator God, to have that kind of real love in a friendship. And I think if we have it with people, it'll change the way we live our life. I think having these kind of real friendships with this kind of real love, as opposed to fake friendships with fake love, I think it can do a whole lot in our lives. At Chaos, our goal is to lead disconnected and unfulfilled students to find a full life in Jesus. And as we're reading about real love, and real love only being found in the creator of the universe, only being found in a relationship with God, with Jesus, I think letting that kind of love filter into our friendships can bring a more full life. Think about just the change in your life, the change in other people's lives, if we were to bring this kind of real love, this kind of action-based love, this kind of selfless love, this kind of long-lasting love into more of our friendships. Friends we have who don't know Jesus are going to look at us and be like, man, where is this coming from? What's this, like, what is this kind of relationship we have? It's awesome. Where did it come from? And we get to tell them about Jesus. I think the friends we have who do know Jesus, I think when we love them and care about them and bring a kind of real love into our friendship, we will point them to Jesus. We point them to the source of that love, and that's our creator and designer of the universe, who loves us, cares about us, and wants that same kind of relationship with us. If we bring this kind of love into friendships, I think we ourselves will begin to look and live and love more like Jesus. And that's our goal. So listen, maybe you've got tons of friends. Maybe you've got like one friend. Maybe you feel like you have no friends. Hey, look around the room. There's some people in there who will be friends. And if they don't want to, tell me, I'll fight them. I think in those kind of friendships and relationships, if we begin to bring in this kind of real love, if we push out the fake love, that's purely emotion, that's selfish, and that's short term, and we begin to bring in a real love instead that's based on action and serving those around us, that's selfless and puts other people before ourselves, and that's long lasting, it's not going to give up, I think we'll see a huge difference. Because people will see this kind of love and wonder where that kind of hope, where that kind of peace, where that kind of joy, where that kind of love is coming from. And we get to point them to the source. Go be friends with people. I don't know. Say hi to the kid you don't know. Start a common ground friendship. Oh man, you got that pencil? Me too. I don't know. Build some trust in other friendships. Build some love in other friendships. I don't know. Let's deepen our friendships. Let's spread our friendships out. And let's be a group of students who are spreading a real love through friendship in Camden County. And we'll see it change our classes. We'll see it change our teams. We'll see it change our homes. We'll see God do really, really amazing things, because He is the source of that love. And He can make a difference through us. For realsies. We'll see you next week.